In today's hustling and bustling life, everyone holds many sentiments and many things to worry about. There are times when, before finishing this task, we are already thinking about another, never having a moment of peace. The mind in the present moment is already worrying music and fearing what will happen in the future. Thinking too much eventually only adds affliction, anxiety, and fatigue. Time passes by with little joy but much suffering and sorrow. The Buddha once taught that the root of all suffering is delusional thinking vintao. This means the mind does not dwell in the present. It keeps running back to the past to reminisce and regret, or projecting into the future to hope and worry. A person living like this will never have a peaceful mind and will never find true tranquility. Dear Buddhists, try to reflect. How many times do we sit alone, yet our heads are spinning, thinking from one story to another, worrying about one person after another, ultimately solving nothing, but only making ourselves suffer? Many of us, even when sitting in a warm home having a reunion meal, still have our minds on tomorrow's work or on yesterday's events. So we cannot enjoy the peaceful moment we currently have. That is the habit of ordinary people. Because of a lack of mindfulness, we do not see the value of each breath, each moment right before our eyes. The world-honored one earnestly reminded us that happiness does not lie in tomorrow, nor is it found in the past, but it only exists in the present moment. Living in the present means cherishing every drop of morning sunlight, every breath in and out, every affectionate smile. If we let the mind wander, then even when standing in front of happiness, we will not recognize it, only to look back later with regret. A person who knows how to think less and knows how to stop in the present is someone opening the door to peace. There are Buddhists who confide that the more they think, the heavier life feels. The more they worry about the future, the more they lose sleep. Their bodies become tired and their minds restless. In truth, the root of affliction is that we do not know how to let go of the continuous stream of thoughts. Thinking is inherently just a flow in the mind. If we know how to look at it, recognize it, and smile at it, it will vanish like clouds in the sky. But if we run after it and believe it, we will be swept away like a leaf drifting in a swift current. Therefore, the Buddha's teachings always remind humans to be awake in every moment. When eating, know you are eating. When breathing, know you are breathing. When walking, know clearly you are walking. Living like this, every small task becomes meditation practice, and every ordinary moment becomes happiness. That is the way to reduce thinking. Not letting the mind wander, but dwelling in the miraculous present. Dear Buddhists, try to imagine living a day where the mind is entangled in the past or afraid of the future is like carrying a basket of heavy rocks on your back. But if we let it go and just walk lightly in the present, every step is leisurely and every smile is relaxed. Life is inherently impermanent. Morning is here, evening is gone. If we do not know how to dwell in each moment, perhaps when we look back, we will have missed an entire human life. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Dear Buddhists, after contemplating together on reducing thoughts to live fully in the present, I believe that everyone among us has experienced the scene of worrying much and suffering much. But when we know how to let go and keep the mind peaceful, happiness is present right now. If you feel this Dharma Talk brings benefit, please joyfully press subscribe to the channel to accompany us for a long time on the path of practice, and at the same time leave a comment with good thoughts or a gentle reminder to sow more good seeds, increasing blessings for yourself and for everyone. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Dear Buddhists, in Buddhism there is a very profound lesson, which is TIC, meaning knowing enough, knowing when to stop. People in the world are often engrossed in chasing desires. The more they have, the more they want, the more they achieve, the more they fear losing it, so they never feel complete joy in their whole lives. In truth, the greatest suffering of human beings lies not in lack, but in not knowing enough. A poor person can still be happy if their heart knows contentment, while a rich person still miserable if their heart has endless greed. The Buddha once taught that a person who knows enough finds peace even lying on the ground, while a person who does not know enough finds no peace even in a golden palace. The value of a human life is not in accumulating a lot of money, but in a soul that is leisurely and free. When the mind knows enough, a little becomes a lot. Poverty turns into wealth. When the mind does not know enough, a lot becomes a little. Even great blessings are never full. Dear Buddhists, please pay attention. In daily life, we are often swept away by the psychology of comparison. Seeing someone better than us, we immediately give birth to jealousy. Seeing someone worse than us, we develop disdain. It is this measuring and comparing that makes the mind constantly restless. If every day we practice contemplation and remind ourselves that what we have is already enough, is already a blessing, then naturally the heart will have less affliction, less craving, and be full of joy. There are Buddhists who tell me that in the past, when they were in need, they thought that just having a little more money would make them happy. But when they became well off, they wanted a bigger house, a nicer cart, more amenities, yet their joy did not increase much. On the contrary, their worries were even greater than before. That is clear proof that happiness does not lie in how much one has, but in whether the mind knows enough or not. A person who knows enough finds even a meal of pickles and vegetables delicious, while a person who doesn't know enough finds even delicacies bland. In the life of practice, TIC, contentment is also the foundation of liberation. Why is that? Because when we know enough, greed decreases, greed does not rise up, and the mind immediately becomes light and free. A practitioner who still chases after cravings is like carrying an extra burden on their shoulders. They will never achieve peace. On the contrary, a person who lives simply, wants little, and knows enough every step, every breath is light. That is the demeanor of a wise sage. I would like to tell of an image. There was a Zen master living in a thatched hut, eating one meal a day, having only 2 or 3 sets of clothes. Yet everyone who came near him felt a sense of peace and a source of cool, refreshing energy. A disciple asked, "Master, why do you have few material things, but seem to have more happiness than so many rich people?" The Zen master smiled and replied, "Because I have learned the 2 words, knowing enough. Whoever knows enough, that person is a king. Whoever does not know enough, that person is a destitute beggar." Indeed, that moral principle is eternally true. In society today, many people, because they do not know enough, sell their health and sell their youth to chase after money. By the time they have money, their health is lost. Youth passes, families separate, and in the end they hold regret in their hearts. If right from the beginning they knew enough and knew how to keep balance, they would have had both mindfulness and peace. That is truly the real treasure. Therefore, living simply is not about lack, but about knowing how to choose what is needed, discarding the superfluous, and keeping the mind peaceful. Dear Buddhists, remember, human life is inherently short, time passes quickly, and material wealth ultimately cannot be taken with you. Only a peaceful mind and blessings follow us forever. If we know enough, every day lived is a happy day. Every moment becomes happiness. A person who knows enough has a peaceful mind, and when the mind is peaceful, wisdom is bright. When wisdom is bright, blessings are born. Thus, just the two words TIC are already the key to opening the greatest happiness in life. Namo Amitabha Buddha. A Buddhist asked, "Master, I see that in life, people usually never feel enough. The more they have, the more they want. So how can I practice the mind of knowing enough and truly feel happy?" Dear Buddhists, this is a very genuine question, and it is also the sentiment of most of us. In ordinary life, everyone wishes for a prosperous life. Everyone hopes to have more, but few people are willing to stop and ask themselves, how much is enough? Humans often fall into a vicious cycle. Not having it, they crave it. Having it, they want more. Achieving it, they fear losing it. It is that whirlpool that makes the mind never know rest. Sometimes we think that we just need a little more money, a little more fame, a little more affection to be complete. But then when we get it, we still see it as lacking, still see it as not enough. Thus, it is not the external life that makes us suffer, but the mind that does not know how to stop. Many Buddhists, when hearing the words TIC, often think it means being content with poverty, not striving, not making an effort. But actually, that is not true. Knowing enough does not mean giving up, but knowing what is the necessary level for life, and where the boundary lies between legitimate needs and endless greed. A person who knows enough still works, still strives, but does not let themselves be dragged into the stream of desire, does not turn desire into chains of bondage. If we are willing to look back, we will see that the majority of worries and fatigue in life stem from not knowing enough. Family discord, husband and wife arguing, and filial children, brothers separated often, come from competing to win or lose, wanting a little more than others, wanting to possess a little more. That insufficiency not only makes us uneasy, but also makes society uneasy. Therefore, a person studying the way who knows contentment not only makes themselves light, but also brings harmony to the family and peace to society. The Buddha once taught, a person who knows enough is the richest person. Even lying on the ground feels peaceful. A person who does not know enough is a poor and miserable person. Even in a golden palace feels uneasy. Through that teaching, we clearly see that wealth and poverty do not lie in money, but lie in the mind. A person who knows how to stop turns a little into a lot, while a person with endless greed turns a lot into a little. True wealth lies not outside, but inside. It is the wealth of the soul. A person who knows enough will have peace right in the present. They eat a simple meal and find it delicious, wear normal clothes and find them beautiful, live in a simple house and find it warm. Conversely, a person who does not know enough, even eating delicacies, finds them bland. Wearing silk and brocade feels lacking. Living in a magnificent villa feels uneasy. Thus, true blessings are not in hoarding material things, but in peace within the mind. Dear Buddhists, the root of insufficiency is greed. Greed is not only for money, but also for affection, fame, power, and even knowledge. Greed is inherently not bad because having aspirations makes humans strive. But if one does not know when to stop, greed turns into chains, turns into suffering. A person learning the way must learn to look back at their own heart, recognizing when desire turns into greed, when we want more than necessary, when we no longer cherish what we have. That is the sign of a mind that does not know enough. Knowing enough does not mean living an ascetic life of self-torture, but living harmoniously, knowing how to keep balance. If there is too little, the body is not healthy and the mind is not at peace. But if there is too much, it also generates many afflictions. A person who knows enough always finds that balance point. They do not chase luxury, but also do not abandon responsibility to their body and family. They know how to choose the core and discard the superfluous. Dear Buddhists, try to think. A person who is forever engrossed and accumulating without knowing how to enjoy what they have when they lie down die. Everything music must be left behind. Wealth, houses, status cannot be taken along. Only blessings and a peaceful mind follow us forever. So the important thing is, right in the present, do we know how to cherish? Do we know how to stop to see that we are happy or not? If we keep running endlessly toward the future, we will miss the present and then later look back only to feel regret. There are stories that are simple yet profound. A poor person whose meal consists only of rice and vegetables feels enough, feels warm because family is by their side, because they have health to work, because they still have eyes to see and legs to walk. Meanwhile, a rich person eating delicacies, wearing silk and brocade, still feels uneasy, still fearful, still sorrowful because their mind does not know enough. Thus, happiness is not in having much or little, but in whether one knows contentment or not. Dear Buddhists, to practice the mind of knowing enough, first, we must contemplate every day. Every morning, when we wake up, we tell ourselves, I am still alive, still breathing, still seeing the sunlight. That is already a great blessing. Every meal we visualize, having rice to eat, water to drink, loved ones nearby is already enough. Whenever the mind of greed arises, we stop, breathe deeply, and remind ourselves that we have more than so many people who are suffering. Why do we not know enough? Second, we can practice living simply, reducing needs, discarding unnecessary things. Only when we reduce the surplus do we clearly see what is needed. Simple in the way we dress and shopping habits from desires that are not truly necessary. In this way, we both save blessings and nourish a peaceful mind. Third, we can practice gratitude. A person who is grateful naturally knows enough. Grateful to parents for giving this body. Grateful to teachers and friends for giving principles. Grateful to life for giving opportunities. When the heart is full of gratitude, we see we have so much, and craving immediately vanishes. Thus, contentment is not something far away, but is a daily practice. Whenever the mind wanders, we remind ourselves to return to the breath, return to the present. Whenever the mind compares, we remind ourselves that happiness does not lie in being better than others, but lies in knowing enough. If we can do this, we will see life become much lighter, and happiness will exist right in this moment. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Dear Buddhists, after contemplating together on the virtue of knowing enough and living simply, surely everyone among us feels that happiness does not lie in much or little, but in a content and peaceful mind in every moment. If you find this Dharma Talk brings you a little peace, please joyfully press subscribe to the channel to continue accompanying us on the path of practice, and leave a comment with good thoughts. A gentle reminder, even those very comments are seeds of blessings, helping both the writer and the reader to increase peace and benefit together. Namo Music Amitabha Buddha. Dear Buddhists in daily life, if there is a virtue that helps humans maintain long-term stability, it is the virtue of humility and the virtue of patience, forbearance. The ancients had a saying, "One moment of patience leads to 9 blessings." The teaching is simple but contains a treasure trove of wisdom. Humility is not self-abasement. Patience is not weakness, but it is true strength, the foundation for humans to keep blessings, keep peace, and keep the hearts of others. Often in life, just because of a sentence of winning or losing, a look of dissatisfaction, we lose intimacy, lose friends, and even lose family happiness. If right at that moment we knew to step back one step, tolerate one word, perhaps the storm would not have flared up. But because the ego is too big, because the arrogant pride refuses to lose, we exchange words back and forth and then cause resentment. A wise person does not view patience as a loss, but views it as a healing medicine for the arrogant ego in their mind. Humility is the same. A humble person does not need to boast, does not need to show off, because they understand that true merit lies not in being praised, but in keeping the mind pure and blessings long-lasting. The more a person boasts, the more their blessings deplete, while the more a person is modest, the more their blessings overflow. The Buddha taught that a person with virtue is usually not noisy, like ripe rice blowing its head, while those lacking virtue often boast, like empty rice standing tall. So humility is music, a sign of wisdom. Dear Buddhists, try to recall, is it not true that those who are gentle, humble, and always patient are truly respected music and loved by everyone for a long time, while those who are hot-tempered and arrogant may make others afraid? It is hard for them to keep people's hearts. A family with someone who knows patience, knows humility, that family is easily harmonious. A group with someone who knows to step back one step, that group has fewer conflicts and easily touches hearts. A society with many people who know humility, that society will have fewer disputes and more peace. Patience is not suppressing anger inside to let it smolder painfully, but using wisdom to contemplate and see that resentment brings no benefit, only harms body and mind and dissipates blessings. When we understand that all winning and losing, praise and blame are impermanent, we will not be swept away. Patience is the strength of one who understands the way. Patience is the shield protecting us against the fire of anger. I remember once a Buddhist asked, "Does being patient like that mean suffering a disadvantage?" In truth, patience is never a disadvantage, because patience helps us keep blessings, keep peace, keep happiness. The gain may not be seen immediately, but in the long run, it will manifest clearly. Being hot-tempered and competitive might show an immediate gain, but blessings will be damaged, affection will be lost, and body and mind will suffer. Therefore, a wise person always chooses patience, because it is a long-term benefit. while a shallow person chooses anger because it is just a victory in a fleeting moment. Humility and patience are two doors leading us to peace. A wise person never thinks they have to prove their value by boasting music or arguing, because true value lies in the virtue of the mind, not in words of praise or blame. Just like a precious gem, it shines by itself without needing to say it shines. A flower naturally emits fragrance without needing to show off its scent. A humble and patient person is the same. They live peacefully, gently, are naturally respected by the world, and naturally have enduring blessings. Namo Amitabha Buddha. A Buddhist asked, "Master, I see that when I am patient, sometimes others push further, even look down on me. So how should one be patient correctly according to the Buddhist spirit to both keep the mind at peace and not be disadvantaged?" Dear Buddhists, this is a very real sentiment. Many people, when hearing the word patience, often mistakenly think it is cowardice, is resigning oneself to loss. But in truth, patience in Buddhism is not weakness, but an inner strength. A weak person is easily angered, easily provoked, while a strong person is calm enough to keep the mind at peace before all storms. Let us look at daily life. An outburst of anger in a few minutes can destroy affection built over many years. A hot-tempered word in an instant can cause lifelong consequences. If right at that moment we can be patient, all storms will immediately subside. Patience does not mean enduring every injustice and letting others trample on you, but using wisdom to handle the situation in a peaceful way, not letting the fire of anger flare up and lose blessings. Sometimes patience is silence. Sometimes patience is stepping back. But sometimes patience is choosing the right time to speak and act so that one and both keep the mind peaceful and clarify what is right. Therefore, patience is not just enduring, but is the active music mastery of emotions, mastery of the situation, so that everything takes place in clarity. The Buddha once taught that a strong person is not one who defeats 1,000 troops on the battlefield, but one who defeats themselves. Defeating anger, defeating arrogance, that is truly the greatest victory. On another occasion, he also taught that if hatred is answered with hatred, then hatred piles up. Only when hatred is answered with compassion does hatred cease. Patience is not a loss, but acts as sowing seeds of compassion, so that fruits of joy will come to oneself. Dear Buddhists, the root cause that makes it hard to be patient is the ego. When someone touches us, speaks words against our will, the ego immediately rises, wanting to react, wanting to prove that I am right, I am better. But if we look deeply, we will see that most arguments in life bring no benefit, only deplete blessings and fracture feelings. A word of patience can save a relationship, preserve harmony, and create a peaceful environment for oneself and others. There are many Buddhists who share that the more patient I am, the more others push. But actually, that is only true when we are patient with a weak, resigned mind. If we are patient with wisdom, the other person will gradually feel the peaceful energy within us. Patience is not to let others dominate, but so that we ourselves are not swept into the cycle of anger. When our mind is solid and peaceful, it is hard for others to do anything to us. We can take the example of water. Water is soft, easily patient, yielding, but water also has boundless strength. It can pierce hard rock and nourish all species. Patience is like that. On the outside, It seems soft, but inside it contains great strength. A person who knows patience will keep blessings, keep health, and keep family ties. A person who does not know patience burns themselves with the fire of anger, harming themselves. In the family, patience is the foundation for long-term happiness. Husband and wife being patient with each other for one word keeps warmth for a lifetime. Parents being patient with children, children being patient with parents. The family will be full of love. In society, colleagues yielding a little, friends yielding a little, the group will have fewer conflicts and easily touch hearts. All stem from the word patience, simple yet profound. Dear Buddhists, to practice patience correctly according to the Dharma, first, we must remember that patience is not cowardice, but the strength of the wise. Whenever anger rises, let us breathe deeply, reminding ourselves that one angry word can burn away all good blessings. We are not foolish enough to let blessings dissipate just because of a few words. Practice silence when the mind is hot. Practice smiling when others go against your will to keep your mind clear. Next, we need to contemplate impermanence. All winning and losing, praise and blame are just like a passing breeze here and then gone. If we cling to it, we suffer. If we let go, we are at peace. Patience is the art of letting go in the moment. Finally, let us practice patience in every small thing. Patience when someone cuts in line. Patience when someone speaks unkind words. Patience when children disobey. From those small things, we will gradually nourish the great strength of the virtue of patience. When patience becomes a habit, our mind will become gentle, compassionate, and naturally blessings will grow. Thus, patience according to the Dharma is not resigning to disadvantage, but preserving blessings, preserving happiness, and keeping one's mind always peaceful. That is truly the mettle of a practitioner. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Dear Buddhists, after listening and contemplating on the virtue of humility and patience, surely each of us sees clearly that patience is not cowardice, but wisdom. Humility is not loss, but indeed preserving blessings. If Buddhists feel a little benefit from these teachings, please joyfully press subscribe to the channel to accompany us on the path of practice, and leave a comment with beautiful words and thoughts. Those very good words will become seeds of blessings, helping both the writer and the reader to sow peaceful affinities together. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Dear Buddhists, in the treasure trove of morals that the Buddha left for the world, there is a very basic virtue that everyone needs to practice. That is the virtue of living honestly and sincerely. Being honest does not mean being weak, nor does it mean being easy to take advantage of, but it is the expression of a pure heart, knowing how to accord with cause and effect karma, knowing how to sow good seeds to harvest fruits of joy. A sincere person is not smooth talking to win people's favor, nor fake to be praised, but lives truly with their heart, behaves truly with everyone, taking straightforwardness and gentleness as the root. In society today, sometimes we see that cleverness and trickery are exalted, while honesty is considered foolish. Many people fear that living gently will lead to loss, fear that living sincerely will lead to betrayal, so they choose music to live shrewdly according to the world. But, dear Buddhists, please remember, karma has never overlooked anyone. A person living deceitfully may gain immediate benefits, but in the long run, they will reap suffering. A person living honestly may suffer immediate disadvantages, but later they will receive good fruits. The law of karma is like a shadow following a form, like an echo following a sound, certainly never deviating. The Buddha once taught that a person doing evil is like holding hot coal to throw at others. Whether it hits or not, their own hand burns first. Living deceitfully and maliciously, ultimately, one is the person who bears the consequences, no one else. As for a person living virtuously, even if it is difficult at first, the mind is stable, sleep is peaceful at night, and meeting people brings no fear that is already great blessing. Ask yourself, in life, what is more precious than a pure soul and a peaceful sleep? Dear Buddhists, have you ever realized that when we live sincerely, our hearts are light? We are comfortable saying anything, free in doing anything, because there is no need to hide, no need to pretend. But when we live falsely, the mind is always uneasy for fear of being exposed, fear of losing face, fear of being discovered. It is that fear that makes the mind tired and the body restless. A person living falsely is like carrying a heavy burden on their shoulders, while a person living sincerely is light like a traveler with empty hands. There are stories in daily life that are very small but enough for us to contemplate. A merchant, because of greed for a little profit, gives short weight. Lying to customers might increase profit a little, but the heart is uneasy, reputation is lost, and blessings also diminish. Conversely, a merchant who's honest, even accepting a little disadvantage, creates trust in customers, keeps good blessings, and ultimately is loved and supported by many people for a long time. In the family, it is the same. Living sincerely is the foundation for preserving happiness. If husband and wife deceive each other, sooner or later cracks will appear. If parents are fake with children, children will not trust them. Only sincerity nurtures lasting affection. An honest and sincere person not only lives happily for themselves, but also brings peace to those around them. Dear Buddhists, life is inherently impermanent. This body does not exist for long. If living deceitfully to gain a little short-lived profit, what use is it? But if living honestly and sincerely, when closing one's eyes and letting go of arms dying, the mind is still serene and blessings still follow. The most precious thing for a human is not wealth or status, but an honest soul, a sincere heart. That is the luggage that goes with us in this life and in music future lives. So I would like to repeat that honesty is not weakness, but strength. Sincerity is not foolishness, but wisdom. An honest and sincere person may initially suffer disadvantages, but will harvest good fruits in the long run. A deceitful and cunning person may initially gain profit, but will certainly pay the price later. Whoever understands this moral principle, whoever can live it, will truly have peace in life. Namo Amitabha Buddha. A Buddhist asked, Master, in life today, many people who live honestly and sincerely are seen as foolish, easily taken advantage of, while those who are tricky gain benefits. So does living virtuously lead to disadvantage? And how to keep the mind at peace when seeing such injustice? Dear Buddhists, this is a concern of not a few people in current society. Truly, there are times we see gentle people suffering losses, tricky people enjoy benefits. Sincere people are hurt while fake people are praised. It is that contrariness that makes many Buddhists sigh. Does living honestly have any use when evil seems to prevail? But actually, What we see is only the surface in a short period, while the law of karma is profound and much more enduring. What is sown will be reaped. It is only a matter of sooner or later. If we only look at immediate benefits, we will see the deceitful person as wise. But if we look at the long term, we will see them having to bear the consequences. A person living unwholesomely may benefit initially, but their heart is uneasy, and their sleep music is not peaceful. Living in fear is already suffering. A person living honestly may initially suffer loss, but their heart is serene. Their mind is peaceful. That is already a great blessing. True profit lies not in material things, but in the peace of the soul. The Buddha taught that a person doing evil is like throwing dust against the wind. That dust returns to cover their own body. A person doing good is like the fragrance of flowers. The wind blows the scent everywhere, bringing benefit to themselves and to others. From this teaching, we clearly see that doing evil, initially thought to harm others, actually harms oneself. Doing good, initially thought only to benefit others, is actually a great benefit to oneself. He also once taught that a person with a true heart will be protected by the deities devas. A deceitful person brings disaster upon themselves. This is an affirmation that sincerity is never useless, but is the foundation for blessings, for trust, and for miraculous protection from the three jewels. Dear Buddhists, the root of the worrying that living virtuously leads to disadvantage is because you do not yet clearly see the law of karma and do not have enough faith in the fair operation of the universe. When seeing a tricky person gain profit, we immediately see ourselves suffering loss, and then doubt arises in our hearts. But actually, karma is never wrong. Perhaps today they enjoy it because they sowed good seeds in the past. But if they sow evil seeds now, tomorrow, they must certainly pay. And if we suffer loss today, it may be to pay for bad fruit sown previously. But if we continue to sow good tomorrow, we will certainly enjoy good fruit. A person living honestly and sincerely always has a profound benefit that a tricky person never has. That is peace of mind. Think about it. Isn't it true that when we do something deceitful, the heart is always uneasy, afraid of being discovered, afraid of being criticized, living uncomfortably? Meanwhile, when we live uprightly and truly, the heart is light. We are not afraid of what we say, not worried about what we do. That is true happiness. There is a small story. An honest farmer, though having few fields and not much harvest, ate well and slept peacefully every day, giving a sincere smile to everyone he met. A tricky merchant, having many fields and much wealth, was always worried in his heart, afraid of loss, afraid of being harmed. So he lived stressfully every day. Dear Buddhists, who do you think is the happy person? Clearly, it is not wealth that decides, but a sincere mind. Living honestly decides happiness. We also need to understand that honesty does not mean letting others take advantage forever. Honesty is compassion, but compassion must have wisdom. Sometimes we silently endure to keep the peace, but sometimes we need to cleverly speak the truth to help the other person wake up and not create more bad karma. Thus, honesty and sincerity do not mean weakness, but living truly with one's heart, acting according to moral principles, but also not letting others create more evil karma. Dear Buddhists, to maintain an honest and sincere mind amidst a volatile life, first, we need to contemplate karma. Every day, remind ourselves that everything we do, however small, has cause and effect. Thanks to that, we will not lose our morality for a little immediate gain. Second, practice living truly with your heart. When saying something, ask yourself, is this word true? Is it kind? Is it beneficial? If all three are true, then speak. When doing something, ask yourself, does this harm music anyone? Does it sow good affinities? If the heart is at peace, then do it. Thanks to that, we keep sincerity without fear. Third, cultivate compassion and wisdom. When seeing a tricky person gain benefits, do not generate jealousy, but generate pity because they are sowing evil karma without knowing it. When seeing yourself suffer a loss, do not be sad, but think that you are paying off karma, sowing good seeds, and will certainly receive good fruit in the future. Thus, living honestly and sincerely is never a disadvantage. Immediate loss may occur, but long-term benefit is certain. That is the sustainable path leading us to peace and blessings. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Dear Buddhists, after contemplating together on the virtue of living honestly and sincerely, surely everyone among us feels that the most precious thing is not money or fame, but a pure soul, a straightforward heart. If you see this Dharma Talk brings benefit to you, please joyfully press subscribe to the channel to accompany us for a long time on the path of practice, and leave a comment with good thoughts, with beautiful reminders. Those sincere words will become seeds of blessing, sowing peace for others and for yourself. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Dear Buddhists, in daily life, there are wounds that do not come from swords or spears, but come from the words, eyes, or attitudes of others. Those injuries often last long, imprinted deep in the mind, causing us to hold grudges, hold sadness, and make ourselves suffer. The Buddha once compared hatred to holding a hot coal in your hand. The longer you hold it, the more you burn yourself, while the other person may not feel a thing. Therefore, forgiveness is not weakness, but compassionate wisdom. It is not cowardice, but a heart of mercy. When someone else makes a mistake, if we keep nursing music in our hearts, we are the ones who suffer first. It is like being in a dark room. The more hatred it holds, the more suffocating that room becomes. But if we open the door for the light of tolerance to shine in, the darkness immediately vanishes. Forgiveness is opening that door. A person who knows how to forgive will feel lighthearted, live leisurely, and not be bound by the past. That is the way to preserve physical and mental health and cultivate long-term blessings. Dear Buddhists, try to think, when we are angry at someone, every time we remember it, our insides feel hot, our face flushes, the mind is uneasy, food doesn't taste good, and sleep isn't peaceful. That harm is not caused by the other person, but by us hugging the fire of anger ourselves. If we know how to let go, know how to forgive, then right in that moment, the mind immediately becomes cool and peaceful. Forgiveness is not because the other person deserves to be forgiven, but because we deserve peace. Regarding the practice of tolerance and forgiveness, it is the practice of controlling emotions. One word spoken in the heat of anger can ruin affection built over a long time. One action in a fit of rage can lead to immeasurable consequences. A person who cannot master their emotions is like a boat without a helmsman. Whichever way the wind blows, it drifts. However the waves hit, it sinks. A person who knows how to control emotions is like someone gripping the steering wheel firmly. Even in big waves and strong winds, they keep their direction. The Buddha taught that a strong person is not one who defeats 100 battles, but one who defeats themselves. Defeating anger is truly the great victory. A person who knows how to keep their mind calm before praise and blame, knows how to smile before provocation that is true mettle. Such a person is not a loser, but a wise one, because they preserve blessings, preserve peace, and sow respect in everyone's hearts. In the family, if parents are hot-tempered, children are easily discordant. If husband and wife do not yield, arguments will flare up and affection will crack. But if there is tolerance and forgiveness, if each person knows to be patient a little, the family will be warm and children will be nurtured in a gentle atmosphere. In society, if each person knows how to restrain emotions and forgive each other's mistakes, conflicts will decrease, love will increase, and society will be more peaceful. Dear Buddhist, human life is inherently impermanent. Morning is here, evening is gone. If we keep hugging hatred and anger, precious time passes, leaving only suffering. Forgiveness is not forgetting everything, but letting go of the heavy burden in the heart. Tolerance is not accepting the wrong, but opening an opportunity for others and for oneself. Controlling emotions is not suppression, but looking deeply to understand, to let go, and to keep the mind peaceful. Therefore, whoever practices these three virtues, tolerance, forgiveness, and emotional control, is walking on the path of the wise, sowing seeds of good blessings, and keeping their life and others' lives cool and happy. Namo Amitabha Buddha. A Buddhist asked, Master, there are people who hurt me, apologize many times, but then repeat the offense. I want to forgive, but I still feel angry in my heart. So what must I do to truly be tolerant and control emotions? Not just forgiving with my mouth, while suffering inside. Dear Buddhists, this is a very real sentiment in life. Everyone among us has times when we are hurt by others, sometimes by friends, sometimes by loved ones in the family. Being hurt once, we easily forgive, but when it is repeated many times, our hearts gradually become resentful, no longer wanting to overlook it. Sometimes our mouths say it's okay, but inside we are still on guard. Whenever we remember, anger rises again. This shows that forgiveness is not just an external action, but must be a transformation from within the mind, otherwise the pain remains. In reality, many Buddhists confide, I also want to forgive. But whenever I think of the old story, my heart heats up, my heart beats fast, my mouth wants to say heavy words. I know it's wrong, but I can't control it. This is the difficulty for most of us. The knowledge is clear, but the practice is not yet mastered. To transform, we need to practice deeply, need to look at the very root of hatred, and learn to subdue emotions in every moment. The Buddha taught, hatred cannot cease hatred, only compassion can cease hatred. This teaching reminds us that the more we hold grudges, the more suffering we create. Only when we generate compassion, viewing the person who caused the fault as someone who's suffering, can we truly let go. He also taught that a person who gets angry is burning themselves with the fire of anger. The other person may not have been affected yet, but we are already burned first. Therefore, forgiveness and tolerance are not only for that person, but because we ourselves need peace. Dear Buddhists, to truly be tolerant, we need to look deeply into two aspects. First, the person causing the fault often acts out of ignorance. They do not understand the way, do not have wisdom, so they let words or actions hurt others. If we understand them as a sick person, it is easier for us to generate pity and anger. Second, we ourselves have also made mistakes, unintentionally hurting others. If we wish to be forgiven, we should also learn to forgive others. Many people fear that forgiving many times will lead to being taken advantage of. Actually, forgiveness does not mean letting others freely do wrong forever. Forgiveness is letting go of hatred in the heart. As for behavior, wisdom is still needed. Sometimes we need to speak clearly, need to set boundaries so the other person does not create more mistakes. Tolerance is not synonymous with indulgence. Forgiveness is not synonymous with blindness. It is a combination of compassion and wisdom. As for controlling emotions, this is a practice that requires persistence. When anger rises, do not react hastily. Breathe very deeply. Stop. Step back one step. Remind yourself, if I speak now, I might regret it. If I remain silent, I will preserve blessings. Each time we practice like this, the anger will weaken and we will have more self-control. A person who knows how to master emotions will keep peace regardless of the circumstances. There is an easy-to-understand image. Our mind is like a glass of water. When disturbed, the water is muddied, seeing nothing. But if we leave it alone and stop stirring, the water becomes clear again. Emotions are the same. When angry, don't rush to speak or act. Let the mind settle, and we will see more clearly. Dear Buddhists, to truly be tolerant and control emotions, I suggest for practices. One is contemplating compassion. Whenever someone hurts us, tell ourselves, this person is suffering, that's why they act like this. When seeing the root of suffering in them, we will be less angry, more loving. Two is practicing letting go. Every night before sleeping, contemplate, whatever anger today, I let go of it all. Tomorrow is a new day. Do not bring old burdens into it. Three is keeping mindfulness unemotional. When angry, practice breathing 3 deep breaths. Place your hand on your chest. Remind yourself to keep blessings. Keep the mind. Music, that simple way, helps us not to react immediately, thereby avoiding many consequences. For his prayer and dedication. When it is hard to forgive, chant the Buddha's name. Pray for that person to soon understand the way, soon transform. That very prayer soothes our mind and sows good seeds for them. If Buddhists practice like this every day, gradually we will feel our hearts lighter, no longer angry for long, and forgiveness becomes a natural instinct. At that time, we truly master emotions, truly are tolerant, and life will be much happier. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Dear Buddhists, after contemplating together on the virtue of tolerance, forgiveness, and mastering emotions, surely everyone among us sees that forgiveness is not because the other person deserves it, but because we deserve peace. Controlling emotions not only keeps the mind at peace, but also preserves blessings. If you find this Dharma Talk brings benefit, please joyfully press subscribe to the channel to accompany us for a long time on the path of study, and leave a comment with good thoughts, with beautiful reminders. Those very words are also good causes, helping the writer and reader to increase blessings together. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Dear Buddhists, life is inherently impermanent. There are things we try our best for, but cannot go as we wish. A person sowing rice, despite careful care, still has to depend on favorable rain and wind. A business person, despite careful calculation, still has times of unexpected fluctuations. Therefore, the Buddha taught us to know how to live according to conditions. Taidian. Living according to conditions does not mean giving up, leaving fate to push and pull, but living with all one's heart, fulfilling one's duty, and then letting go of the result, not forcing, not suffering because of things beyond one's reach. Living according to conditions. Music is knowing how to cherish the present, knowing how to make an effort to sow good causes, and then letting cause and effect operate. Just like the farmer sowing seeds, they do their best in plowing and caring. But when it comes to how the rain and sun will be, how the harvest will turn out, they must accord with it. Thanks to the mind of living according to conditions, they are no longer overly anxious, not miserable because of things outside their ability. That is the peace that wisdom brings to each person's life. If we know how to live according to conditions, we will reduce a lot of afflictions. There are Buddhists who complain, "I did my best, but the result was not as desired." In truth, doing one's best is the good cause, while the result depends on many other conditions. If we keep demanding that everything must go our way, we will be forever disappointed. But if we know how to accord with conditions, we will smile at every result. If successful, we are happy. If not yet successful, we view it as a lesson. Parallel to the virtue of living according to conditions, the Buddha also taught us to cherish family affection and be filial to parents. Because while parents are here, family is here, home is here, a peaceful harbor is here. There are many people who only deeply realize when they lose their parents. Only then seeing that in life there is no longer a warm place to return to. At that time, even regret cannot compensate. So when parents are still here, let us love, take care, and be filial in every word, every action. Dear Buddhists, try to think. A warm meal with parents, a question of concern when parents are old and weak. Music holding hands once, a word of comfort that is a great blessing that not everyone still has. Do not wait until looking back only to feel regret and pity. Filial piety to parents is not only a duty, but the greatest field of blessings. Whoever is truly filial, their blessings increase, and their family is peaceful. Descendants will be harmonious. Cherishing family affection does not stop at parents, but also include siblings, spouses, and children. Living according to conditions means not forcing loved ones to live according to our will, but knowing to accept, be tolerant, and nurture affection together. A family that knows how to love each other, you to each other, that is already a site of enlightenment. Tao Chong, a place sowing seeds of peace. Dear Buddhists, human life is short. Impermanence does not make an appointment. Therefore, let us live according to condition so as not to suffer too much over things beyond our reach, and cherish family affection, especially parents, while we can. That is not only the duty of a child, but also a practical path of practice bringing blessings right in the present. Whoever knows how to accord with conditions, their mind is at peace. Whoever knows filial piety, their blessings are great. Whoever cherishes family affection, their happiness is enduring. Namo Amitabha Buddha. A Buddhist asked, "Master, I have tried to live with all my heart for my family, but sometimes it is not reciprocated, and I feel very sad. I also heard that one must live according to conditions, but I do not understand clearly how living according to conditions is different from giving up. Please teach me how to both cherish family affection and know how to live according to conditions without my mind suffering. Dear Buddhists, this is what many of us have experienced. We take care, love, and worrying for the family with all our hearts, but sometimes loved ones do not understand, do not reciprocate, or even make us sad. Some people, because of this, become discouraged, thinking why bother being good, and then give up, becoming cold. But living like that is not living according to conditions, it is giving up. Giving up is when we ignore and don't care, while living according to conditions is still doing one's best, but knowing how to let go of attachment to the result. In life, if we demand that others must always understand, always follow the way we want, it is easy to generate affliction. Even parents and children sometimes do not share the same viewpoint. Even husbands and wives sometimes misunderstand each other, because everyone has their own karma, their own personality, their own way of looking. If we just want everything to be exactly as we wish, we will certainly suffer. Living according to conditions is fulfilling one's duty, completing moral obligations, but not placing heavy weight on the response. We give with our hearts, but how the recipient receives is according to conditions, not forced. The Buddha taught that karmic conditions are like floating clouds, gathering then scattering, scattering then gathering. Nothing is certain. From that teaching, we see that in family affection there is also the element of karmic affinity. Relatives are not random, but due to many lifetimes of creating affinities. So now we meet again to love, to repay, to learn lessons from each other. If we understand this, we will blame less, sorrow less, and generate a more tolerant mind. The Buddha also taught that filial piety to parents is the greatest field of blessings. So if we are fully filial, even if parents do not yet understand, we have already sown great blessings. Do not wait for others to praise or respond, but view it as a duty, as an opportunity to cultivate merit. Dear Buddhists, the root of suffering in family affection is usually due to expectation and attachment. When we expect that the other person must love us like this, must care for us like that, and they do not do it right, we are sad. When we hold that I give, so I must receive back, and reality is not so, we suffer. Therefore, living according to conditions is keeping the heart full, but letting go of attachment to the result. A practitioner must see that everyone has their own karma. Some people have good affinity with us, so it is easy to harmonize. Some people still have adverse karma, so it is easy to conflict. When understanding it is karma, we will not blame, but view it as an opportunity for us to train our compassion, train our patience. Family affection is not always smooth, but if we know how to look with the eyes of cause and effect, we will see everything has a reason. As for filial piety to parents, sometimes we do our best, but parents do not understand or even blame us. At that time, let us remember that filial piety is not expecting parents to return love, but is fulfilling the way of a child. We sow the seed of filial piety, and good blessings will follow us. And who knows, that very patience will make parents gradually feel it. In the relationship between husband and wife and children, it is the same. If we only hope they live according to our will, sooner or later he will be disappointed. But if we view it as an environment to learn tolerance, learn forgiveness, learn to live according to conditions, then every day is a lesson in the way. A person who can live like this does not blame anymore, but only knows how to love, knows how to empathize. Dear Buddhists, to live according to conditions and cherish family affection without the mind suffering, I suggest for practices. One is contemplating karmic affinity. Remember that family members are also due to affinities from many lives. Sometimes it is a good affinity to love, sometimes an adverse affinity to repay. Understanding this, we blame less and are easily tolerant. 2 is keeping one's duty. Be wholehearted with parents. Be filial, be loving with spouse, be loving with children. Teach them with all your heart, but do not expect repayment. 3 is letting go of attachment to results. When giving, only know that we have sown good seeds. As for the result, let it accord with conditions. Do not force it, for it is nourishing gratitude. Every day, remember what loved ones have given us, however small, to cultivate a mind of cherishing. When the heart is full of gratitude, sorrows will lighten. If we practice like this, we will both live wholeheartedly with family affection and keep the mind peaceful thanks to knowing how to accord with conditions. A person who lives like that sees blessings increase, happiness endure, and life soaked in love. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Dear Buddhists, after reflecting together on the virtue of living according to conditions and cherishing family affection, surely everyone feels that happiness is not in how much we hold, but in knowing how to love and be filial while we can. If you find this Dharma Talk brings a little music piece to you, please joyfully press subscribe to the channel to continue accompanying us on the path of study, and leave a comment with good words and thoughts. Those very kind words will become karmic conditions of blessings, helping the writer and the reader to be peaceful and happy together. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Story: The Farmer and the Rice Season. Once upon a time, in a small village by the river, there was a farmer named Heen. He lived simply with his wife and children, year-round plowing in the fields, sowing according to the seasons. Heen was inherently a simple person, not calculating gains or losses, only hoping for the family to be fed and live peacefully. One year, Heen put in a lot of effort to sow rice. He cared for every plot of land, waking up at dawn, working until the sun set. People in the village praised him for being diligent. Everyone thought that year's harvest would be bountiful, but then a drought lasted for a long time. The river water ran dry, and the rice withered gradually. Looking at each patch of dead, dry rice, his wife Sali lamented. Worked hard all year. In the end, music got nothing. Why is heaven so unfair? Hearing his wife complained, Heen smiled gently and replied, "My dear, our job is to sow seeds, plow, and care. As for how the rain and sun are, that is the sky's job. We have done our best, so let us accept it with peace of mind. No need to blame, nor should we be sad and miserable." The wife did not understand, sulkingly said, "You just stay calm like that. How can we provide for the children?" Heen gently held his wife's hand and said, "Precisely because of the children, because of the family, we must keep our minds calm even more. If we keep worrying and blaming the sky, it doesn't help anything. Instead of complaining, let's prepare to sow again for the next season. who knows the sky might change its mind, bringing favorable rain and wind. That statement made his wife fall silent. Many years passed. In the village there were other farmers. Some, because of one failed crop, sadly abandoned the fields to go to the city to earn a living. Others blamed heaven and earth. Living in misery, only he remained. He still calmly plowed, according with the rain and sun. If the harvest was good, he was happy. If the harvest was lost, he considered it paying off a debt of affinity. Thanks to that mind of according with conditions, his family remained warm and peaceful. His children grew up gentle, knowing how to respect elders and yield to younger ones. One day, an old friend visited, seeing Ian's family, though not wealthy. Everyone's eyes were radiant, and crisp laughter echoed through the house. The friend wondered and asked, "Ian, I see you don't have much wealth, but why is your house always peaceful and happy, while that rich house over there is often arguing and discordant?" Ian smiled gently and replied, "Rich or poor does not necessarily determine happiness. True happiness is a mind that knows enough, lives according to conditions, and cherishes family affection. I only sow rice seeds within my ability. As for sun and rain, it depends on the sky. I love my wife and children with what I can. As for how they respond, it depends on conditions. Not forcing, not blaming, so the heart is at peace." The friend listened and nodded, deeply moved. Since then, Ian's story spread throughout the village. People often reminded each other that living knowing enough, living according to conditions. Every house will have laughter. No need to wait for wealth to have happiness. A Buddhist asked, "Master, hearing the story of the farmer Heen living according to conditions, I feel light, but in reality, when facing loss and difficulty, it is very hard for me to keep my mind at peace. Please teach me the way to practice the virtue of according with conditions and knowing enough like Mr. Heen." Dear Buddhists, this is a sentiment that everyone among us has experienced. When facing loss, we do not easily accept it, because deep down, everyone wishes for life to always be favorable, everything to follow our will. But life is inherently impermanent. There is gain and loss. There are favorable times and adverse times. Farmer Heen in the story also could not escape the drought and crop failure. But he was different in that he knew how to look at everything with eyes that accord with conditions. He sowed with all his heart, but did not force the result. That is wisdom. If we do not learn that virtue, every time there is a loss, affliction arises. But if we learn it, the heart is serene like clouds in the sky, not swept away by the wind. The Buddha taught that a wise person does their best in the present, that does not cling to success or failure, because success and failure are due to causes and conditions. That teaching shows us that our job is to sow the cause. How the fruit comes depends on many factors. A person who knows enough does not suffer because of things beyond their reach. A person who knows how to accord with conditions does not let circumstances drag their mind away. Only then can one live calmly amidst fluctuations. Dear Buddhists, why is it hard for us to accord with conditions? Because our mind still clings to the result, clings to desires, clings that life must be this way or that way. When the truth is not as hoped, we suffer. Living according to conditions is not ignoring things, but doing one's best in the present, and then letting go of the craving. Farmer Heen sowed and cared, but he did not blame the sky during the drought, nor was he complacent when the harvest was good. That is the virtue of according with conditions. In life, we can apply this in this way. Always ask yourself, have I done my best? If not, try harder. If I have done my best, then rest assured, do not worry more. Like a child being filial to parents, we take care and support. But whether parents are pleased or not depends on their mood, on the karma of the elders. We should not generate affliction because of that incompleteness. Just knowing we have done our best is enough. When the mind knows enough, life becomes light. A person who knows enough sees a bowl of rice and vegetables as precious, sees a simple house as warm. A person who doesn't know enough, even having a lot, still feels lacking. Happiness does not come from outside, but from the mind knowing contentment. Try TIC, according with conditions, so the mind does not suffer. Knowing enough is so the mind knows joy. These two virtues going together make life full of peace. Dear Buddhists, to practice the virtue of according with conditions and knowing enough, I suggest the following practices. 1 is practice living fully in the present. When doing something, do it with all your heart. But after that, don't keep thinking about the result forever. 2 is practice letting go of some expectations. Every day tell yourself, what I have today is already enough. If I get more, it is a blessing. If not, I am still calm. 3 is practice contemplating impermanence. Remind yourself that life is uncertain. There is gain and loss. Understanding impermanence makes it easier to accept and lighten the heart. For his gratitude. Every morning remember the grace of parents, grace of teachers and friends, grace of life. When the mind knows gratitude, it naturally sees enough, no longer measuring. If Buddhists practice like this, gradually you'll feel your heart lighter, no longer so sad when encountering loss, but knowing how to smile, viewing it as a lesson. That is a solid step on the path of learning the virtues of according with conditions and knowing enough. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Story. 2 boatmen on the river. Once upon a time, by a large river bend, there were 2 boatmen. One was named Tamhart, gentle and tolerant, often helping passengers cross the river. The other was named Ha, hot-tempered and competitive. Whoever displeased him, he would scold immediately. One day, a group of merchants carrying heavy goods came to the dock. Because they were in a rush, they fought to get on the boat, inadvertently causing the boat to tilt. Ha got angry and shouted loudly, "Don't you see the boat is about to capsize? What a thoughtless bunch." Hearing the shout, the merchants were frightened. Some were embarrassed, some were annoyed. The atmosphere was heavy. No one was happy. Meanwhile, at the other dock, Tam also welcomed a similar group of passengers. When seeing them jostling and the boat wobbling, Tam did not get angry but smiled and said, "Folks, take it slowly. The boat is small and people are many. If everyone is gentle, everyone will be safe." Hearing those gentle words, the merchants immediately became orderly. Everyone felt comfortable. When they crossed the river, they thanked Tam profusely. Someone saw this and asked how. "Why is it the same event? But when you get angry, the passengers get angry back, while Tam is gentle and everyone is happy." Ha was embarrassed, but still argued, "Because my nature is hot, I can't control it." The other person shook their head. "Precisely because you can't control it, you make yourself suffer and others suffer." As for Tam, because he knows how to keep his heart, everything is smooth. That day Ha went home his heart still annoyed. Food didn't taste good, sleep wasn't peaceful. While Tam sat by the porch, the breeze was cool, his heart light and happy. A few years later, both became old and weak. People said that Hal carried a severe illness, his body exhausted because a lifetime of anger had burned him out. As for Tam, although also old, his face was gentle, respected by villagers, surrounded by descendants. One day, someone asked Tam the secret to living peacefully. He smiled gently and said, "Keep a tolerant heart, know how to forgive, and control anger. If people are wrong, getting angry only harms oneself. If people are rough, be gentle, and everything will be calm. Fire without wind extinguishes itself. Hatred not nourished dissolves itself." The villagers listened and nodded, engraving those words. Since then, everyone passing the river wharf remembered the image of the gentle boatman with a kind smile, leaving life a lesson about tolerance, forgiveness, and mastering emotions. A Buddhist asked, "Master, I see in the story of the two boatmen, they only differ in being hot-tempered or tolerant, yet the results are very different. But in reality, when insulted, it is very hard for me to stay calm. What must I do to control emotions and truly be tolerant like the gentle boatman?" Dear Buddhists, true to the story told, the difference in attitude can change the entire outcome of a situation. An angry word makes the atmosphere heavy and people distant, while a gentle word makes everyone feel comfortable and happy. However, in real life, when insulted, it is hard for anyone among us to avoid a hot reaction, because the ego within us is touched, and instinct immediately rises. Wanting to stay calm, wanting to be tolerant is not easy, but it is not impossible. It is a whole process of practice and training. Actually, anger is not our nature, but only a passing emotion. It comes and goes. But if we hold on to it and nourish it, it becomes a fire burning our hearts. The boatman had lived in anger all his life, so in the end, both body and mind were weak. Conversely, the boatman Tam knew how to control emotions, so he kept a calm heart and lived happily until old age. The story is simple but conveys a profound moral. Happiness lies not in external circumstances, but in knowing how to master one's mind. The Buddha taught, "There is no enemy that harms us like our own mind of anger." That saying reminds us that anger not only makes others suffer, but also devastates us. He also taught, if hatred is answered with hatred, hatred piles up. Only when answering with compassion does hatred cease. This teaching shows us that only a tolerant and forgiving mind brings true peace. Dear Buddhists, the root cause making it hard to stay calm is due to attachment to ego. When someone insults us, we think we are being looked down upon, so we react immediately. But if we look deeply, we will see that a word or action of another only exists for a moment, while the emotion in our heart decides suffering or peace. If we hold on to it, a word can become a lifelong suffering. If we let go, it is just like a passing breeze. A person who knows tolerance will not view others' mistakes as a burden for themselves, but view them as a lesson to train the mind. When others are angry, if we still keep calm, that very calmness can soothe the fire in their hearts. Tolerance is not to let others push further, but so that we are not dragged down by hatred. There is a very easy to understand image. Fire without firewood extinguishes itself. Waves without wind calm themselves. Likewise, when others are rude, if we respond with anger, the matter becomes more tense. But if we keep a gentle heart, the matter will soon settle down. The ancients had the saying, 1 moment of patience leads to 9 blessings, precisely to remind us of this lesson. Dear Buddhists, to practice controlling emotions and nourishing a tolerant mind, I suggest for specific steps. 1 is stop and breathe deep. Whenever angry, stop all actions. Breathe 3 breaths very slowly. Just like that, the anger has decreased by half. 2 is contemplate impermanence. Remind yourself that the word just now only passes and will vanish. This body, still impermanent, let alone as sentenced. 3 is generate compassion. Think that the other person is angry because they are suffering. They lack understanding. When seeing them suffer, it is easier to love than to be angry, for is practice forgiveness every day. At night before sleeping, let go of all resentments of the day. Tell yourself tomorrow is a new day. Do not carry old burdens. If Buddhists practice consistently, gradually the mind will be steadier, anger harder to flare up, and tolerance will become a natural habit. At that time, we will be like that gentle boatman, keeping a smile, keeping joy, and sowing peace for both ourselves and others. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Story: the student to hand the full bowl of water. Once upon a time, in a small village, there was a student named An, intelligent and quick-witted. Whatever he learned, he remembered, because he was praised by many and developed arrogance, often thinking himself far superior to his friends. Friends gradually stayed away, and the teacher advised him many times, but refused to listen. One day, the teacher called him over and handed him a bowl of water filled to the brim. The teacher said, "You must carry this bowl of water around the courtyard without spilling a single drop," and focused, walked slowly, and finally completed it. The teacher smiled and asked, "When carrying the bowl of water, did you notice your friends laughing and joking, or hear anyone say anything?" And reply, "Sir, I only focused staring at the bowl of water, afraid it would spill, so I didn't notice anything else." The teacher nodded. Likewise, when you are forever busy keeping your bowl of water of arrogance, you no longer see your friends, no longer hear anyone's words. You are only afraid of losing in competition, so you are no longer humble enough to learn. Do you see what precious things you have missed?" And bowed his head in silence. The teacher continued, "Full water cannot hold more. A complacent mind is the same. It cannot receive moral principles. A truly wise person is humble, knows how to listen, knows how to be patient, no matter how smart. If one does not know humility, it is no different from a bowl of water already full, unable to receive another drop." Hearing this, and suddenly awakened, from then on he gradually changed, practiced living humbly, harmonizing with friends, and respecting the teacher. Thanks to that, not only did his knowledge expand day by day, but people's hearts also cherished him more. People in the village, seeing and change often, reminded each other, "The ocean is vast because it knows how to accept hundreds of rivers." A person with the virtue of humility will have blessings as vast as that. A Buddhist asked, "Master, I know humility is good, but in reality, I am often dominated by the ego, easily complacent when praised and annoyed when criticized. Please teach me the way to practice the virtue of humility and patience, like in the story of the student with the full bowl of water. Dear Buddhists, indeed the ego in each person is very big. When praised, we often feel happy and think we are better than others. When criticized, we immediately feel sad, even angry. That ego is like a full bowl of water, only worried about keeping it from spilling, so there is no room to receive more. The student in the story is the image of all of us, intelligent, capable, but because of complacency, lost the opportunity to learn and lost everyone's affection. Only when knowing humility and patience can we open our hearts to receive knowledge and love from others. In life, no one is perfect. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. If we just focus on where we are better, we generate arrogance. If we know to look at where we are lacking, naturally we will see the need to learn more. Humility does not make us smaller, but helps us grow in wisdom and virtue. The Buddha taught, "A fool thinks he is wise. That is truly a fool. A wise person knows he is still lacking. That is truly wise." This teaching reminds us that whoever is complacent stops on the path of learning the way, while whoever is humble marches forward forever. On another occasion, he also said, "Patience is the strength of the wise. Humility is the root of good blessings." From here we understand that the virtue of humility is not weakness, but the foundation for wisdom and blessings to grow. Dear Buddhists, the root cause making it hard for us to be humble is attachment to ego. The ego always wants to be praised, recognized, respected, but life is inherently impermanent. Praise will fade. Criticism will also be lost. If we cling to it, the mind always wobbles according to people's words. A wise person is different. They view praise and blame only as a passing breeze. That very letting go makes them keep a humble, peaceful mind. Patience is the same. When someone goes against our will, instinct wants to react immediately. But if we are patient, the anger will dissolve and we preserve blessings. A person who is not patient is like adding oil to fire. It burns bigger and bigger. A patient person is like taking cool water to extinguish it, keeping stability. Patience is not resigning, but the strength to subdue oneself. The student in the story realized that the full water of arrogance music made him have no room to hold moral principles. Likewise, each of us, if we let the ego be too big, cannot learn anything from others. Humility is knowing to lower oneself, opening the heart to receive. The more wise one is, the more humble, because they know the universe is vast. What they know is only like a grain of sand. In family life, if everyone keeps their ego, conflicts are continuous. But if each person knows to yield a little, the house is warm. In society, if everyone wants to win, it is easy to generate disputes. But if knowing humility, one will be cherished. Humility and patience are a pair of wings helping us go far on the path of life and the path of practice. Dear Buddhists, to practice the virtue of humility and patience, I suggest a few things to practice. One is contemplating impermanence. Remember that praise and blame are short-lived. Nothing is durable. Understanding this, we will not cling to it. Not letting the ego grow. 2 is practice listening. When talking, listen to others with a mind to learn. Do not rush to judge. Thanks to that, we open our hearts and are more humble. 3 is patience in small things. When someone says something contrary, try being silent a little. Smile. Do not reply immediately. Practice from small things. Over time it becomes strength. For as often remind yourself, what I know is just a drop of water. What I don't know is the ocean. That reminder helps us not be complacent, but always keep a humble heart. If practicing like this, gradually Buddhists will see their minds becoming gentler, less hot-tempered, and easily loved by everyone. That is the blessing of the virtue of humility and patience. Namo Amitabha Buddha story. The son returns. Once upon a time, in a certain family, there were two brothers. The older brother named Min was hardworking, filial, always helping his parents. The younger brother named Kong loved to play, often neglected work. Many times Kong even stole money from his parents to follow friends. Men advised him many times, but the younger brother didn't listen. Parents were sad but didn't know what to do. One day, Kong followed friends to gamble, lost all money, and was chased and beaten. In hunger and cold, Kong remembered his elderly parents and gentle brother. His heart was filled with regret. After days of wandering, Kong decided to return. On the way back, Kong worried that he had caused so much suffering. Surely his brother would be angry, parents would not forgive. Thinking so, his heart was even more timid. But just stepping into the gate, Kong saw his brother chopping wood. Parents sitting on the porch saw the younger brother. Men hurriedly dropped the knife, ran out to support and hug Kong, saying, "Music, you are back just by returning. All mistakes are left behind." Parents with tears in their eyes held their son's hand tightly, saying, "You return, meaning we still have each other. Wealth lost can be made again. But if you are lost, parents have no consolation left." Hearing those words, Kong burst into tears, kneeling down to say, "I ask parents and brother to forgive me. I promise from now on I will live differently, start over again." Since that day, Kong truly changed. He worked hard, lived sincerely, knew filial piety. The older brother was still tolerant, guiding his younger brother every day. Parents were happy seeing their son return to the path of good. People in the village music praised that a family with a tolerant heart gives children a chance to repent. Music, if only scolding and chasing away, the child would be lost forever. And that story became a great lesson. Tolerance and forgiveness do not make us weaker, but help others have a chance to return, help family affection be healed, and help ourselves be peaceful. A Buddhist asked music, "Master, the story of the brother returning moves me, but in reality, when someone hurts me many times, it is hard for me to open my heart to forgive. So how can I truly be tolerant, keeping family affection while keeping my mind peaceful?" Dear Buddhists, forgiveness is one of the hardest lessons in life. When someone makes a mistake just once, we easily overlook it. But when a mistake repeats again and again, especially from a loved one, the pain is deeper, the heart harder to open. Someone exclaimed, "I can forgive an outsider easier music than forgiving a family member. Because they are close, they make me trust. So when hurt, I hurt double." This is the common mood of many people. In the story, the parents and older brother opened their hearts ready to forgive, so the child, the younger brother who erred, had a chance to return. Precisely thanks to that heart, Kong truly repented. If they only scolded and chased him away, Kong perhaps would have left forever. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting all mistakes, but giving the other person a chance and giving oneself lightness. A person who knows tolerance does not harbor hatred in their heart. lives leisurely, much more stably. The Buddha taught, hatred cannot cease hatred, only compassion can cease hatred. He also reminded that a person holding a grudge is a person carrying fire on their back. The further they walk, the more they burn. Forgiveness is putting down that burden of fire. When we forgive, we not only save the other person from guilt, but also save ourselves from suffering. That is the spirit of compassion of Buddhism, the wisdom knowing that anger only harms oneself, while tolerance brings peace. Dear Buddhists, the reason making it hard to forgive is usually due to attachment to ego. We think that person insulted me, betrayed me, hurt me, so the heart cannot let go. But if looking with eyes of cause and effect, we music will see that person is also just dominated by ignorance and karma. They do wrong because their mind is not bright, not necessarily because they want to harm us. If we see them as a sick person, we will easily generate a heart of love rather than anger. Forgiveness also does not mean letting the other person continue to do wrong forever. Forgiveness is letting go of hatred in the heart. As for behavior, wisdom is needed. Sometimes we forgive, but still set boundaries, still cleverly remind, so they do not reoffend. Tolerance is not synonymous with indulgence, but is knowing to look deep to handle everything peacefully. In family affection, forgiveness is even more important. If we stubbornly hold grudges, the family will separate. Everyone suffers. But if one person is willing to open their heart, the family still has a chance to heal. Precisely because of that, the Buddha taught that filial piety to parents, harmony with siblings, that is the foundation of blessings. Whichever family still knows forgiveness, that family still has good blessings. Dear Buddhists, to practice the virtue of tolerance and forgiveness, I suggest for steps of practice. One is contemplating impermanence. A loved one here today may not be here tomorrow. If we do not forgive in time, perhaps later there will only be regret. Two is contemplating compassion. See the mistakes of others as sickness, then we are less angry and more loving. When the mind generates compassion, hatred dissolves. 3 is practice letting go every day. Before sleeping, contemplate. Whoever made me sad today, I let go of it all. Do not bring it into tomorrow. For his act with a true heart, a word of inquiry, a gesture of care can melt the ice in the heart. Forgiveness is not just saying but expressing through action. If Buddhists practice like this, gradually the heart will open wide, hatred will vanish, and family affection will be preserved. When we know how to forgive, we ourselves are the first to enjoy blessings because the heart is light, happy, and blessings follow us. Namo Amitabha Buddha story. One angry word. Once upon a time, in a village by the mountain, there was a blacksmith named Kwang. He was strong and diligent, but had a hot temper. Anyone who said anything contrary, he would scold, even shove. People in the village both respected and feared him, but few were truly close. One day, Kwang had a new apprentice, a boy named Loy. Being clumsy, Loy dropped the hammer on the ground while forging. The loud noise made Kwang angry. He shouted, "You clumsy fool!" Working so clumsily, Lo was scared, trembling, bowed his head to apologize. But Kwang did not control himself, continued to scold with heavy words. The boy burst into tears and ran home, never daring to return to the workshop. A few days later, Lo's father came to find Kwang, saying chokingly, "My son is still small being clumsy is natural. He truly wanted to learn the trade, but because he feared you, he gave up. One word in the heat of anger made a child lose the opportunity to grow up. Hearing this, Kwong's heart went silent. That night he tossed and turned thinking. Just because of a fit of anger, a heavy word, he hurt a young soul. If later Loy loses his way is part of the fault mine, since then, Kwon began to practice restraint. Every time anger rose, he breathed deeply, reminding himself that an angry word could cause great consequences. Gradually, he became less hot-tempered, knowing to use gentle words to teach people. Many years later, Kwon became a skilled blacksmith, respected by villagers. People no longer remembered the hot temper Kwon of old, but only mentioned the calm, gentle Kwon, always advising the young with gentle words. Elders in the village often told their descendants, "One angry word can shatter so many things, but one gentle word can build it all back." A person who knows how to restrain is truly the strong one. A Buddhist asked, "Master, sometimes I know anger harms myself and others, but when my pride is touched, I can't control it, accidentally letting slip heavy words. Afterward, I regret it, but it's too late. Please teach me the way to control anger right in the moment it arises." Dear Buddhists, everyone among us has experienced moments like that. When spoken against, when insulted, or seeing something displeasing, anger flares up like fire. At that time, reason is almost obscured. Words and actions easily exceed limits. Afterwards, when calm, we regret, but words spoken, relationships cracked, are not easily healed. Sometimes just a minute of anger loses a long-time friendship. A heavy sentence shatters family happiness. In the story of blacksmith Kwong, just one time of losing temper made the little apprentice leave, losing the chance to learn a trade. That very thing made him startled, realizing the consequences of anger, then determined to change. That story reflects our lives. If we don't know how to stop, anger can destroy both ourselves and others. Conversely, if knowing how to control, we keep harmony, keep blessings, and keep happiness. The Buddha taught, there is no enemy that harms us like our own anger. A person who cannot subdue anger is like a fire burning a forest of merit. That teaching is very profound. Anger not only burns peace of mind, but also burns up blessings accumulated for a long time. Conversely, he also taught, a person who knows patience is like earth, like water. Whether praised or blamed, whether slandered, they do not move. That is the beautiful image of someone who knows how to master emotions, so the mind is peaceful like earth, cool like water. Dear Buddhists, the root of anger is due to attachment to ego. When the ego is insulted, we react immediately. Actually, that word is just like the wind, but because we cling to the ego, we see it as a wound. If we let go of the ego, praise and blame no longer shake the mind. The ancients compared evil words to a stone thrown into empty space. Music falling to the ground, it immediately disappears. If the mind is peaceful like empty space, it won't be hurt. The way to control anger is not suppression, but recognition and transformation. When anger rises, we must know this is anger, just recognizing. Breathing slows down, the mind is less tense. If we do not recognize but let anger drag us away, it will flare up. Many Buddhists, after practicing mindfulness, shared, when angry, I just need to breathe, just need to walk slowly. Then the anger is no longer like before. This proves that anger is not our nature. It is just a passing emotion, and we can master it if we know how to return to mindfulness. In the family, if husband and wife know how to restrain, a sentence of silence will keep harmony. In society, if colleagues know patience, a smile will avoid disputes. A hot-tempered person might make others fear, but no one truly respects them. A person who knows how to be calm sows trust and long-term affection. Dear Buddhists, to control anger right when it arises, I suggest 4 practices. 1 is return to the breath. When hot-tempered, stop, breathe 3 deep breaths. Just that the mind settles down. 2 is practice silence. Don't say anything when angry, because words at that time are like poisoned arrows. Silence is keeping blessings, keeping affection. 3 is contemplate cause and effect. Remind yourself one angry word can dissipate virtuous blessings. One act of hatred can create bad karma. Remembering karma, we will be cautious, for it nourish a heart of love. When someone makes you angry, think that person is suffering, so they are rude. From there we are less angry, more loving. If Buddhists practice persistently, gradually you will find yourself less hot-tempered, easier to be tolerant, and the heart will be light and leisurely. That is true strength, the strength of someone who masters themselves. Namo Amitabha Buddha story. The bowl of rice and vegetables and laughter. Once upon a time, in a poor village, there was a farmer named Ho. He lived with his wife and 2 small children in a simple thatched house. Every day he went to the fields to plow. His wife took care of cooking and the children. Life was hard, but the house was always bustling with laughter. One day, a guest from afar came. Seeing the family's meal consisting only of a pot of white rice with a plate of boiled vegetables and a bowl of fish sauce, shook his head and sighed. Oh my, eating like this, how can it be called happiness? Uncle Ho smiled, picking up vegetables for his child, and said, Sir, this rice and vegetable, though simple, is the sweat and tears of my wife and me, is the effort of the countryside fields. We eat and enjoy, sharing with each other. So happiness is no less than anyone's. The guest was surprised and asked, But why don't you wish for a meal full of meat and fish, a big house, nice clothes like others? Uncle Ho replied gently, Humans suffer because they always want more. As for me, every day having rice to eat, clothes to wear, healthy children, harmonious family is already a great blessing. If keeping comparing with the rich, when will one ever feel enough? That simple yet profound answer made the guest fall silent. He realized that all this time he had been forever chasing material things, his heart always uneasy, never truly happy with what he had. Many years later, when that guest became a high-ranking official, he still remembered forever the smile of the poor farmer years ago. Every time greed rose, he told himself, true happiness is not in having much or little, but in a mind that knows enough. And he often told that story to his descendants to remind them that a bowl of rice and vegetables eaten in joy is more precious than a high tray and full feast eaten in sorrow. A Buddhist asked, Master, listening to the story of farmer Ho living happily with just a bowl of rice and vegetables, I feel admiration. But in life today, when everyone around is chasing money, houses, status, it is very hard for me to keep a mind of knowing enough. What must I do to truly live contentedly, try TIC, and find simple happiness like Uncle Ho? Dear Buddhists, This is the common mood of many people in modern society. We live in a time of abundant material wealth, surplus amenities, but it seems the human mind is increasingly uneasy. People rush to work day and night to have lots of money, lots of assets, but still complain that their life is not enough. Seeing others with luxury cars, one wants to change cars. Seeing friends with big houses, the heart wishes for a bigger house. It is that measuring and comparing mind that makes us never see enough. No matter how much we have, we still feel lacking. Meanwhile, the story of Farmer reminds us of a simple moral. True happiness lies not in whether material things are many or few, but in knowing how to cherish what one has. A bowl of rice and vegetables eaten in laughter can also become a great banquet. A thatched house, if there is love, is warmer than a cold castle. A person who knows enough turns a little into a lot. A person who doesn't know enough turns a lot into a little. The Buddha once taught, a person who knows enough, even lying on the ground, is happy. A person who doesn't know enough, even in a palace, is not satisfied. That teaching reminds us that rich or poor truly does not lie in external material things, but in the internal mind of contentment. He also taught that a person with few desires living contentedly has a light body and mind, not bound by lust. This is the foundation for peace and liberation. Dear Buddhists, the root cause making it hard for us to be content is greed and comparison. When seeing others better than us, the mind is immediately uneasy. But if looking closely, we will see in the world there are always people better and always people worse. If we keep looking up to measure, we will suffer forever. But if knowing to look down to empathize, we will see we already have so much. There are sick people wishing to be healthy like us. There are poor people wishing for a bowl of rice like us. There are lonely people wishing for a family like us. Realizing that, we will be grateful and feel enough. Contentment, TIC, does not mean not striving. A person who knows enough still works, still nurtures the family, but they are not dragged by ambition. They know what is a necessary need, what is an insatiable greed. They choose to live simply, reducing desires to keep the mind at peace. Living like that, less anxiety, fewer burdens, yet happiness is greater. Buddhists, please notice, there are wealthy people, but uneasy minds. Food tastes bad, sleep is restless. There are people, though poor, but cheerful, healthy, sleeping very peacefully, laughing crisply every morning. Clearly, happiness does not come from money, but comes from a mind knowing enough. If we keep forever accumulating without knowing how to enjoy the present, one day, looking back, we will see we have missed a whole life. Dear Buddhists, to practice living contentedly in these times, I suggest a few practices. One is contemplate every morning. When waking up, tell yourself, I am still alive, still breathing, still seeing the sun. That is already a great blessing. 2 is practice living simply. Reduce unnecessary desires. Only keep what is truly needed for life. 3 is nourish gratitude. Every day remember the grace of parents, teachers, friends, grace of life. When grateful, one naturally feels enough, no longer measuring, for his stop comparison. Whenever seeing others better than oneself, think everyone has their own karma. Knowing how to cherish one's part is enough. If practicing consistently, gradually we will see happiness present in every meal, every home, every ordinary moment. And at that time, we will truly understand the smile of Farmer, simple yet profound happiness Namo Amitabha Buddha story. The Gem in the Stone. Once upon a time, there was a village famous for gem polishing. In the village, there was a young man named Lam, weak in character, often complaining whenever meeting difficulty. Lam's father was an experienced gem worker, often teaching his son, if you want to become a capable person, you must endure hardship, endure labor, just like a stone. Wanting to become a gem, it must undergo grinding and polishing. But Lam listened and just shook his head, thinking his father was too harsh. One day, the father handed Lam a rough stone, saying, "This is a rough gem. If you patiently grind and polish, it will become a treasure. If you give up, it is just a worthless rock." Lam reluctantly followed. In the first days, hands blistered. Sweat soaked his shirt. Lam angrily threw the stone down. "Why must I suffer like this?" The father did not blame, just picked up the stone and placed it in his son's hand. "Look closely, the grinding marks today. Though hurting you, the gem is gradually appearing. Human life is the same. Hardship is the challenge to brighten virtue." Hearing this, Lam suddenly fell silent. He patiently continued the work, day by day, hands calloused. Sweat fell uncountable times, but gradually the rough gem shone clear and sparkling. When seeing the result, Lam, teary-eyed, said, "I understand now. Without grinding, there would be no beautiful gem. Without hardship, there would be no mature human." The father smiled gently. "Correct. Suffering does not come to harm you, but to forge you. If knowing to learn from hardship, you will become a bright gem for the world." Since then, Lam no longer complained. Every time meeting a challenge, he learned to be patient, persistent, looking at hardship as a friend, thanks to which he matured. People in the village often retold that story to teach descendants that inside the stone there is a gem. Inside hardship there is wisdom. Whoever knows patience and resilience, that person will achieve. A Buddhist asked, "Master, I know hardship helps people mature, but when encountering suffering, I only feel heavy, want to escape, not strong enough to overcome. What must I do to view suffering as a lesson, like the story of the gem in the stone?" Dear Buddhists, suffering is something no one wants, but it is the truth of human life. While in hardship, we usually only feel tired, frustrated, even despairing. We think we are unfortunate, that life is unfair. But if looking deep, we will see that precisely those challenges make us mature. Just like the gem, initially just a rough rock, but thanks to the grinding process, it becomes bright and clear. If there were no grinding marks, no hindrance, it would forever remain just a stone. In life, there are Buddhists who have gone through adversity, illness, loss, failure. Initially, everyone suffers, but later many share. Thanks to suffering, I learned to cherish health, cherish loved ones, know how to practice. Thus, hardship is a teacher helping us learn great lessons that normally we do not notice. The Buddha taught, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests human strength." He also said suffering is the truth, but from suffering, whoever knows how to contemplate will find the path of liberation. The Four Noble Truths that the Buddha revealed open precisely with the truth of suffering to remind us that we cannot avoid, but must look straight, understand clearly, and from there find the path to overcome. Thus, suffering is not an enemy, but an opportunity for enlightenment. Dear Buddhists, the root cause making us fear hardship is because the mind clings to ease, wishes for favorability. When life is not as desired, we suffer immediately. but life is inherently impermanent. How can everything be smooth? A person who knows how to practice views adversity as an opportunity to train. Look back at yourself. The most profound lessons usually come from failure, not success. When successful, we easily become complacent. When failing, we become humble, knowing how to contemplate. Likewise, when healthy, we often forget this body is fragile. When sick, we see the value of every breath. When wealthy, we often crave. When poor, we know contentment. Therefore, hardship is a mirror for us to look back, a fire to forge will, a lesson to mature. The gem worker grinds the stone bit by bit, just like suffering grinds us every day. While grinding, it hurts, but precisely thanks to that, the bright nature gradually reveals itself. If there were no hardship, humans would easily be weak, easily give up. But thanks to adversity, we become strong, resilient, knowing how to love, be patient, and let go. In the family, sometimes conflicts help husband and wife understand each other better, if knowing to look with compassionate eyes. In society, difficulties help us learn patience, learn humility. On the path of practice, suffering helps us awaken, see clearly impermanence, see clearly the limitations of human life, thereby becoming more diligent. Dear Buddhists, to turn suffering into a lesson, we can practice in 4 ways. One is accept the truth. When suffering comes, do not blame. Remind yourself, this is the fruit of karmic conditions I accept. To learn the lesson, 2 is find meaning in suffering. Ask yourself, what does this suffering teach me? Teach me to cherish whom? Teach me to live how? 3 is keep patience. Like grinding a gem requires persistence every day, suffering will also pass. What remains is our matured mind. 4 is practice mindfulness. When suffering, breathe slowly, walk slowly, live fully every minute. Thanks to mindfulness, we keep the mind safe amidst storms. If practicing like this, gradually Buddhists will see suffering as no longer a burden, but a strict yet loving teacher, training us to become a bright gem in life. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Dear Buddhists, humans living in the world cannot be just alone, but are always attached to family, society, friends, colleagues. Therefore, the moral of dealing with people is very important. A skillful person is one who knows to put themselves in others' shoes, knows to think for each other, knows to respect each other. When we understand and empathize, conflicts decrease, love increases. The ancients said, to understand people, try living in their circumstances. When practicing looking with compassionate eyes, we will easily forgive, easily empathize, blame less, and love more. Besides that, in life, everyone must learn the virtue of self-reliance. Parents can love us, friends can help us, but no one can walk our entire path for us. Ultimately, everyone must walk on their own feet. A person who knows self-reliance will be stronger, more confident, and not rely on anyone. Self-reliance is also the way for us to mature, knowing to take responsibility for our life and our own karma. In the process of self-reliance, surely we will encounter not a few hardships. Do not rush to consider it a misfortune, because hardship is a great lesson. A seed wanting to sprout must break the hard shell. A gem wanting to shine must undergo polishing. A human wanting to mature must go through challenges. If we only wish for life to be favorable, we will be weak when adversity comes. But if we know to learn from hardship, Adversity will become a teacher, helping us grow in both soul and wisdom. Finally, all those virtues lead to one word: letting go. Bungyaks. Letting go is not abandoning all responsibility, but living wholeheartedly, yet not clinging to the result. Fulfilling duties, but not letting the mind be heavy because of winning or losing, praise or blame. A person who knows how to let go keeps a peaceful mind regardless of success or failure, gain or loss. That person is truly leisurely and free amidst life. Dear Buddhists, human life is short. If we keep forever busy with right and wrong, measuring, getting angry, ultimately we only make ourselves suffer. If knowing how to skillfully deal with people, keeping a heart of self-reliance, learning from hardship, and practicing letting go, then every day lived will become a peaceful day. That is the path of wisdom and compassion that the Buddha has pointed out.